I didn't plan to lose myself. No one does. I didn't wake up one day and say, "Today I'll forget how to ask for what I need." Or, "Today, I'll start thinking my dreams don't matter." It happened slowly, quietly, like a leak beneath the floorboards. You don't see it, not at first. You just start to feel cold. And then one day, your feet touch rot, and you realize you've been standing on damage for years. That's what being a stay-at-home partner felt like for me. At first, I wore that title like a badge, stay-at-home partner. I believed it meant love, partnership, equality. I made the house a haven, knew how he liked his tea, and was his emotional anchor. But no one asked what I needed to feel loved, not even me. When you're not earning, people assume you're not working. It's subtle. No one says it outright, but it's in the way they ask, "Do you work?" And when you say, "I stay at home," their smile falters, as if you've said you disappeared. I remember one moment that broke something open in me. I was at a dinner with a few couples, and my partner, who I truly loved, was talking about a project he'd just closed. He was proud, and I was proud of him. Then someone asked, "And what do you do?" I opened my mouth, and I froze. I wanted to say, "I hold this whole life together. I keep us afloat when he falls apart. I make the calls to the dentist, remember his mother's birthday, soothe him after work, listen when no one else does. I sacrifice daily so he can thrive." But instead I laughed and said, "Oh, I'm just at home right now." Just that word. That night I cried in the bathroom because I couldn't remember the last time someone looked at me with awe or even attention. Not because I needed praise, but because I had started to believe I was invisible. My value, my voice, my choices, fading. It wasn't all bad. There were good days, loving days, days when I felt like we were building something. But over time, the power imbalance became impossible to ignore. He made the money, so he made the decisions, and I didn't even question it. At first. Like the time he booked a weekend trip without asking if I wanted to go, or when he upgraded his laptop, and I hesitated to ask for a new pair of shoes because they were still okay, right? I didn't have my own money, so I didn't feel like I had a say in anything. I remember asking once if we could rework the budget to include a small personal allowance for me, just something I could call my own. His response wasn't cruel, just confused. "Why? What would you even use it for?" And it hit me then. He didn't even see me as someone who needed anything. Because I had made myself so small, so accommodating, so selfless, he forgot I was a person with desires of my own. But here's the thing, no one tells you. When you become the background, people stop noticing when you're missing from the picture. What broke me wasn't one thing. It was the accumulation of many, many small things, like asking, "Hey, can I buy this?" instead of, "I want this, I'm getting it." Like saying, "I'll wait until he's okay with it," instead of, "This matters to me." Like not applying for a job because I didn't want to upset the rhythm of his schedule. Like staying silent when someone said, "Well, you're lucky you don't have to work." Lucky? It didn't feel like luck. It felt like slow erosion. Eventually, I stopped recognizing myself. I used to be fire. A little wild, passionate about my art, hungry for growth. Now, I was tired, polite, careful. I had become a ghost in my own life, and I know how dramatic that sounds, but I lived it. Maybe you're living it too. So what did I do? I started reclaiming myself, not in one sweeping act of defiance, but in quiet rebellion. I got a journal, started writing again, just to remind myself I still existed. I began going on long walks alone, without asking permission. I got a prepaid debit card, started saving small amounts, just to say, "This is mine." I started therapy, read books about power, silence, boundaries, and cried a lot. I realized I hadn't been loved badly. I just stopped loving myself enough to ask for more. Eventually, I sat my partner down and told him everything, not in anger, just in truth. I said, "I feel like a dependent, and that doesn't feel like love to me." To his credit, he listened. He cried too, Admitting he hadn't seen it, I had made it look easy, smiled while unraveling, said, "It's okay," when it wasn't. We worked on it, not perfectly, but intentionally. We started budgeting together. He encouraged me to pursue a small business idea I'd shelved for years. I started making a bit of money, and with every dollar I earned, I felt a piece of myself return. Not because money equals worth, but because having a say does. If you're still with me, thank you. This wasn't easy to share, but I needed to. Because there's a dangerous myth that says being a stay-at-home partner is easier, simpler, that it comes without a cost. But here's the truth I learned too late. The cost is your sense of self, if you're not careful. And yourself is not something you should ever spend in full. So here's what I'll say to you, dear listener. If you're someone who's holding up an entire home with your hands and your heart, your work matters, your dreams matter, you deserve access, autonomy, agency, you deserve money that is yours. Even if it's shared, it should never feel borrowed. You deserve to speak without asking for permission first. And if you've lost yourself a little, I promise you can come back. Piece by piece, step by step, word by word. You are not a ghost. You are not an afterthought. You are not just anything. You are the soul of the story. Don't forget that. If this video held a mirror to something you've buried deep, I see you, and I'm holding space for you. Please, if you feel safe to do so, share your story in the comments. Someone else may need to read your truth and feel less alone. And if you need a sign to start choosing yourself again, even in the smallest way, this is it. You matter. You matter. You always did.